to start with Draymond Green because, you dropped your own news on this podcast a couple weeks ago. Draymond dropped his own news on his podcast just this morning, which was pretty awesome. He's back from suspension. The NBA reinstated him over the weekend. And he came out this morning on his pod and he talked about a really crazy conversation he had with Adam Silver right after the decision to suspend him came down. He said, quote, that he told Adam, "It's just too much for me. It's all becoming too much. I'm going to retire." So that's crazy. And then Dre said that Adam's response was, "You're making a rash decision. I'm not going to let you do that." So, but first of all, what do you just think of that conversation at all, that that's the point where Dre was at, and the fact that Adam stepped in and said what he said?
As an overall, I think it's really dope from both people. And the reason I can say that is I agree with Adam when he said that was, he's being rational. He's making a, dramatic decision, and I agree with that. But it also shows that, and the reason I say this is because anybody that genuinely cares for Draymond and has genuine love for him would have told him the same thing. Draymond, you're wilding, you're tripping right now, you're overthinking this.
Can you imagine Adam saying, "Dre, you wildin', you tripping"?
Yeah. Hey, and I hope the conversation went that way because that would be the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Anyone that really cares for Draymond would have told him the same thing. So just seeing that response from Adam Silver or hearing about that response, obviously he cares. And I can only imagine the state of mind that Draymond is in. Obviously he did some wild bullshit that, these are the consequences of his actions. But with that being said,
right.
I've spoke on it time and time again. Like, I can understand why he got to that point mentally. This whole narrative has been spun out of control. The attack of his character, the attack of him as a human being, a person, taking him outside of a basketball court, and it's just completely unfair. Did he do some things that were out that crossed the line when it comes to the game of basketball? Absolutely, but it shouldn't determine who he is as a person off the court, and that's where my whole issue comes in with it. So to hear where Draymond is mentally about it, it's understandable. It can become a lot, and people say well, he makes millions of dollars. Well, money doesn't take away your emotions. Money doesn't take away your feelings. Money doesn't stop you from bleeding, crying, being sad, depressed, any of those things. So, for that to be the number one excuse, well, that comes with the money. That it doesn't excuse anything. So, I'm glad that Draymond could come back with a clear mind and get back to where he is with, going to continue and finish out his career. And, hopefully he's in a better place and he can just move on from this. We can all move on from it and we can get back to Draymond playing a high level of basketball. And hopefully helping the Warriors turn this season around. So, I'm happy that he's back on the floor. And like I said, I hope everything works out in his favor to where he's able to move on and get back to the more positive things in his career.
I thought the point you made right when he was suspended about how we're in this culture where it's all one or the other, right? So, when he was winning, when they were winning titles, he was the glue, he was this, he was that. Those emotions were so important to the team. But then after especially this last suspension, and look, because it came so quickly on the heels of the one before it, there was all this chatter about, Draymond has deep emotional problems and is he going to be able to even get back to being a teammate, a good teammate, that kind of thing. Your point that it just was a swing, there's no middle ground, I thought was so astute. And the fact that now that conversation, that national conversation has tampered down a little bit. I mean, we're so rash now as Americans and American culture. It's either all one way, all the other. It's huge for 48 hours, but then it kind of dissipates. And I think that's where the national conversation on Draymond is now, is people are they're a little calmer about it, and that maybe he can get back to being who he is publicly in addition to just himself. He was on the bench last night, so that was a step in the right direction. He's supposed to come back later this week. What effect do you think it'll have on the Warriors on the court to have him just back and being that stabilizing force?
I'm not really sure. And the reason I say that is the Warriors have so many problems outside of Draymond. Draymond coming back or Draymond not being there doesn't change the fact that the Warriors have issues. They have it's so many things that need to be fixed with the Warriors. So, the addition or subtraction of Draymond, I don't really feel changes anything. I think this is a management problem, an ownership problem where, obviously they put so much money into this team throughout the years, and now they're at this point where, the money and the production aren't really matching up. So this is more of an organization problem, and they have to figure out, which path they want to take. Do they want to continue to try to, squeeze this lemon and get the best out of these three Hall of Famers, or are they ready to, move on and blow this thing up and start the rebuilding process? So I kind of think that's where they are when it comes to this team, and like I said, it's on management to figure out which route they want to take.
Well, look, you're the one who played on this team. You know all the people involved so closely. To me, Draymond Green is what helps Steph Curry be Steph. And I think we've seen that when Draymond's off the court. Steph has had some great games, but he also has had some not so great shooting games. And I think, honestly, that they need Draymond. There is talk, though, and look, we talked last week about should they trade Klay Thompson or not, and where is he in his relationship with the Warriors? He'll be a free agent this coming summer. Draymond Green just signed that huge contract. But now that he is back and eligible and going to be playing again, and the trade deadline's just about a month away, do you believe any of this talk, Boogie, that the Warriors should look to trade Draymond? Do you think he even has any value right now? What do you think?
My gut is telling me I don't see this team making a drastic move mid-season. I think they'll ride this out and the decisions to be made in the offseason. But as far as the trade value with Draymond, this is a league that flourishes on, defenders because, the scoring is locked up in this league. They need as many defenders as they can get, and elite defenders at that. So I feel like the value for Draymond will always be there with what he's great at doing. I feel like he could fit into any team. Obviously, personality comes into play with the narratives that's been put on his name, but Draymond's a winner. He's been a winner since he stepped in, and like I said, I feel like he could fit into any team. So my personal opinion, I feel like his value is still where it is. Obviously, age comes into play, things of that nature, but what he brings to the court on a nightly basis doesn't really change.
Yeah, I agree that there is a market for him if they wanted to deal him. I mean, look, you're telling me Detroit wouldn't want to bring him back to Michigan no matter how big his contract is or how old he is? Like, I can see all kinds of teams that might want to just have that sort of presence around the team for their younger players or want the kind of publicity, frankly, and the energy that Draymond would bring. But I don't think they're going to deal him. We'll have to see.